Hello everyone, this is HDSky Husky here, and I'm going to be casting the second game between OGS MC and IdrA. However, I just want to get feedback really quick on my new intro. I hope that you guys liked it. It's only 10 seconds, so hopefully that's not too long. I feel like 10 seconds is a fairly short intro, and just let me know what you guys think about that. It was made by a fan of mine and submitted to me, and really appreciate that because I'm a big fan of art, and I consider 3D renderings and things like that art. Regardless, though, I think it's kind of cool. And let me know what you guys think. But anyways, if you guys did not see the game before this one, you definitely want to go check that game out. OGS MC and IdrA having a clash of epic proportions. I think a lot of it came down to the fact that OGS MC went for a lot more Phoenix than is usual for Protoss, and he just was not able to utilize them as effectively as he needed to. A lot of players may look at that game and be like, wait, how did IdrA get so far ahead? Is Zerg overpowered? The answer is no. It's that when you get that many Phoenix, and if you don't do anything with them, then you basically have no ground army, which is exactly what we saw. Too many Hydras for the Phoenix to graviton beam up into the air, and then from there it was all downhill for OGS MC. So we are going to see how good OGS MC can do in this second game. Again, he is one of the best players in Korea, if not in the entire world, and he is a very successful, very popular, and very entertaining Protoss to watch in that he's very confident, which is something a lot of times you don't see in pro gamers. At least they aren't like, you know what, I'm a big deal, I'm awesome, boy. That's kind of the attitude that MC has, as he has won 2 GSLs, so he is allowed to be that level of confident. So one thing I want to mention really quickly that has been discussed in a lot of forums at great length, and I'm kind of curious as to what you guys think as well. Some of the, or really most of the top StarCraft 2 players right now are former Brood War players, or at least a lot of them are. Not saying all of them are, but nice interception there on the probe, trying to take that out, and the hatchery is still not enough minerals here to go down. So IdrA, this is pretty standard, this little dance back and forth with these units. IdrA should be able to get down the hatchery just fine. There it goes right there, this probe. Just seeing the timing of that, should know exactly what's headed his way. We'll see how MC decides to follow that up. Not sure where this Zealot's going. Probably just looking around for a couple of Zerglings, see if there's anything that is trying to scout him out. And anyways, as I was saying, so a lot of the top pro gamers right now are former StarCraft players, but they're former StarCraft players that were not the best of the best. I would say they were definitely either in the bottom 50% or are nowhere near the top 20%, and now they're the best in StarCraft 2. So I'm curious if the top players of Brood War, so say Jaedong, Flash, things like that, maybe Stork or Bisu, if they switch over to StarCraft 2, do you think their skill level would be higher than the players currently playing, or do you think that the current players have an edge and have just figured out the game much better and are much more scary for that reason? Now, it does look like OGS MC is going to be moving out with a couple of Zealots in here, and actually more than a couple, as he does have a third on the way right now. So I guess it has upgraded into a few, if I'm doing the mathematical terms on that correctly. But here come the 2 Zealots right now, and that will force IdrA, I believe, to have to get out more Zerglings than usual. This is a very early aggression from a Protoss player, not something that you can pull off blindly. You have to know exactly what your opponent's going, and the Sentry going to be spawning here pretty soon in order to deal with that. It does look like IdrA bringing down a couple of drones to try and deal with this. The 3rd Zealot just now reinforcing. Is IdrA going to lose this hatchery? You can see he is forced to make those Zerglings. Got to bring the Queen down here to try and deal a little bit of damage. Maybe draw these Zealots away from the hatchery. But this is extremely early pressure. Maybe punishing IdrA for doing a heavy macro style Zerg play. I don't know if this hatchery is going to go down. You can see 8 Zerglings going to be spawning right about now. The Queen softening these Zealots up as much as possible. Is this hatchery going to go down? These Zerglings getting over here. I don't know if it's going to be in time, though. That hatchery very low on HP. Every hit he can get on it will make it closer to death. I do believe IdrA will be able to hold this at least long enough to save the hatchery, although that hatchery going to be exceptionally low on that HP. The Zealots, though, still hanging in there. Barely in the HP, though. I think the Queen should be able to pick off both of these. Yes, she will. Four more Zerglings, rather, going to be spawning there to clean that up. Both players losing about the same amount of resources. The difference being that this does allow OGS MC to expand, and it did force IdrA to use a lot of larvae on the Zerglings rather than the drones, which is why he's at a disadvantage. Once these larvae start to pop off, though, then he will quickly be at an advantage. You can see him throwing down a Roach Warren. I believe this is more of a defensive play because he's not sure exactly what's headed his way, But for right now, OGSMC does have 4 sentries. Maybe IdrA wants to try and end this early with a Roach counterattack, or this could just be, again, a cautionary play to see exactly what his opponent's going. However, he is saving up a lot of money. He has a lot of supply open, so my guess is that he is going to get out some roaches on the field to try and put on that early pressure. So Roach Warren is done. 6 roaches immediately going under construction. IdrA already working on these rocks as well to try and make up for any economic damage that he took. That hatchery, though, is so low on HP. A Stalker run by, I guess it's not really a run by, but a Stalker dash to that hatchery could take it out quite easily. And the Nexus is going to go down for OGSMC. Look at this wall in he has going. Will be difficult to defend this, but also prevents Zerglings from running inside the main base, which is so frustrating for Protoss players to deal with. Now that the roaches have spawned, looks like IdrA is going to put them directly to use by breaking down these rocks. These roaches do not get a break at all. Just kidding. They're going to go ahead and move down here to the Protoss player, it looks like. Is OGSMC going to be prepared for this? His Warp Gate technology is done. You can see he has a 4th gateway on the way right now, which he'll probably upgrade. Here comes the rally down from IdrA. This is always terrifying when done correctly, and IdrA looks like he's going to do just that. We'll see if the force fields are going to be enough to hold this off. I think MC will be okay here as long as he can get good position, and if he warps in more Stalkers, which he is, then he should be okay, but these sentries getting caught completely out of position. OGSMC not prepared for this. He got a little excited with those sentries, ended up losing almost all of them, it looks like. Units lost tab here, you can see just how heavy of a hit that is. Losing so many sentries there in the early stages, which is not ideal at all. A huge mistake by OGS. I don't think he read the situation correctly at all. He does need to micro his Stalkers to the best of his ability. His sentries are all going down. I don't think he has a single sentry remaining. Now it's just Stalker Zealots versus Roach Zergling, which these Zerglings have a huge micro advantage, and it looks like IdrA is going to push that as much as he can. These Zealots really are worthless against those Stalkers, and are against the Roaches, while the Stalkers are forced to suit the Zerglings. These Roaches doing a lot of damage. You can see just how many kills are on them as they are doing a lot of DPS. We do want to keep an eye on the units lost tab. If IdrA continues to commit to this, he may get pushed out and lose more reinforcements if they do decide to show up. And IdrA, you can see, is behind on the supply count. He has more units rallying down here. That Roach is going to get taken out, which is a pretty big deal because there's just not that many Roaches on the field anymore, and IdrA is forced to rally back to his main base. So somehow OGSMC is going to hold that attack. I thought for sure he was going to be in a lot of trouble after losing those sentries. It's just that really if OGSMC decides to make more sentries, it's delaying his Colossus tech by a great deal, or whatever tech he decides to go. You can see he's working towards hallucination. This may be just to try and trick IdrA when he marches out, or if you summon the units without the Zerg player seeing it, then the AI doesn't really know which one is which, and you can trick your opponent with that. So it looks like OGSMC going to stick with that idea. Maybe hallucinate some Colossus, potentially some Immortals, and we will see if that is going to work, though. 66 supply for IdrA, 77 for our Protoss player MC, which is not something you want to have happen as a Zerg player, especially when you're going an aggressive build like that. He lost all of his units, and that is not a comfortable situation to be in at all. You can see trying to get this expansion at around the 10-minute mark, which is fairly standard for Zerg players, and we do have the lair upgrade on the way, but is that going to be soon enough? Because OGSMC rather, will be able to push out before any amount of serious tech is down, should he decide to. You can see the Evo Chamber on the way, and the fake Phoenix is going to reveal to IdrA that he does indeed have hallucination. It looks like OGSMC very comfortable with what he sees. The Zergling run by is going to be happening at the expansion right now into the probe line. The probes are going to run out of there immediately, and OGSMC needs to get out some units right now, although he may be able to lock down this expansion. A pylon will potentially be dropped by this probe. Is there anything to combat these Zerglings? Yes, the Zealots arriving. They are pissed, so 4 Zealots in there are going to be able to clean that out. And here comes the march right now from OGSMC. Is there enough from IdrA to hold this off? We do want to look at the units tab here. 12 Roaches and 6 Zerglings versus a massive 12 Zealot, 9 army, or 9 Stalker, 4 Sentry army. Here comes the battle right now. I don't know if IdrA's going to be prepared. You can see he's desperately trying to throw down 4 Spine Crawlers, but it does look like MC is out for blood. That is a lot of Stalkers, however, with 7 more on the way, and OGSMC is going to need a lot more Stalkers than this if he wants to win this battle decisively. He does warp in a couple of sentries. He's just trying to force field these Roaches as much as possible. You can see a couple of the Roaches are sitting back, not exactly doing a lot of damage, but IdrA is going to be able to hold here. You can see he's confident enough to run these Spine Crawlers out here, And at the same time, though, no serious damage to the economy of MC, but now he is forced to run away. Units Lost tab is going to show a fairly even battle here, back and forth. Is OGS MC going to continue engaging here? He could easily take out these Overlords to try and supply block IdrA. However, since the Spine Crawlers are now in position, it becomes much more difficult for MC to bust up here. He is able to take out one of those Spine Crawlers. IdrA rallying just enough troops to hold this off. Both players microing perfectly, which is exactly what you need to do to keep these armies alive. And OGS MC, you can see, not very comfortable continuing that attack. And we do have the upgrade for the Roaches right now, so IdrA planning to stick with these Roaches a little bit longer. I wouldn't be too surprised to see him get a Hydralisk Den, simply because he's seeing the amount of gateway units that MC is going for. But the supply counts do show 83 to 86, and the worker counts now have evened out, so IdrA was able to squeeze out a couple of workers during that engagement and kind of re-macro up his economy while still holding on. So even though MC has been extremely aggressive, IdrA was able to hold it off, and yes, he did lose the hatchery, but it is going down right now with the Spine Crawlers getting into position. Spine Crawlers are something that we're starting to see Zerg players use a lot more effectively, just because they are really darn good. 300 HP on those, and you can move them around to wherever it is that you want. And on top of that, you can heal them with your queens. The downside being that they do take a drone, but they do have that 2 armor, just making them extremely powerful versus anything a Protoss player might throw at it, especially gateway units. And that's why IdrA is able to secure the center of the map, able to secure that high yield expansion. If he gets that up, he will definitely have an economic advantage over his opponent. You can see that right now, though, MC is slightly ahead in the mining. Seems like his saturation is slightly balanced a little bit more. He does also have a few additional workers, although IdrA is going to be making 5 drones. At the same time, he's going to be going for range attack as well as more roach upgrades and burrow for these roaches, so he may try to punish MC for not having any sort of detection. And right as I say that, the observer right here sees exactly what's going on, so the roach burrow may not be that effective. Where are these roaches going? Seems like a slight misclick there, almost cost all these roaches their lives. Thankfully, they do have the speed boots on, and kind of reminds me of Dota, I guess. Getting those boots right away is going to save all of these roaches, so he did not lose any there. If he would have lost those, it would have been over because MC would have pushed right in there. But for now, it is still fairly even, 133 to 125, which is pretty standard for a Zerg versus Protoss, I would say, after the things that we've seen so far. So neither player slipping too hard. It's going to come down to the battles right here, and IdrA does have the high yield expansion, has not been able to transfer all the drones over there that he needs yet. It does look like a couple roaches over here trying to get a couple of kills. Overall, though, we have seen 15 workers killed. Does he want to kill that pylon? Looks like he's intentionally killing that pylon just so he can easily protect it. He did have that up there to prevent Zerglings from running in there, and Overlord going to see exactly what's going on. IdrA is slowly taking more and more of the map. You can see his upgrades are now finishing, and the +1 attack is about 3/4 of the way done, which will benefit him greatly. Here comes the attack right now. The 1 attack is completed for OGS MC. He has a lot of Stalkers and has so many Zealots as well, just to help tank the damage for a little bit. There is no blink on these Stalkers, however, and as long as the Observer stays here, the Roaches will not be able to sneak up on this. Not a lot that IdrA could do to hold on to this expansion. MC engaging at the perfect direction. Force fields will trap. It looks like 5 Roaches, 3 of them going to escape underground and burrow out of there. So nice play there. This Overlord is sitting here pooping creep all over the Protoss's day and all over the parade. A couple of roaches may go down right here. If Blink was done researching, then OGS MC would have been able to take those out, but he still does not have Blink. And IdrA, you can see, sticking with Mass Roach, which is a surprisingly effective build against Protoss these days. However, we do have OGS MC going for a Twilight Council as well as some Immortals, but here comes the attack from IdrA. He's going to march directly into this. This is why it's effective, is they are so fast on creep. Look at how many Stalkers he just killed. OGS MC going to run head on into this. However, both players do have that +1 attack finished. Force Field's going to prevent these Roaches from running away, but look at how powerful Roaches are against a Protoss who's out of position. The Immortal's not even showing up to help out, so again, MC getting caught out of position. He is so confident in this game, but he needs to be careful. There's still a high chance of him losing a major battle, and I'm also afraid to look at the units lost tab. I am indeed 10,000 lost, 9,500 for IdrA. However, if we look at the unit accounting station here, we see 54 workers to that 49. So this is still anyone's game. It could go either way. These Immortals have a long way to travel to eventually make it to the front line. So that's why those other Immortals had not shown up yet. But with that +1 attack, the Immortals are going to be doing 55 damage versus these Roaches. The Roaches do have that 1 armor, and we have Infest Infestors on the way for IdrA, and this may spell disaster for OGSMC. Now, he is trying to get out that high-yield expansion, but IdrA just now getting his. You can see some drones don't realize that they've opened up a new hatchery there quite yet, so IdrA is going to be mining there at the same pace that our Protoss player is, and I honestly think that slight getting out of position like that, just slightly being in the wrong place at the wrong time, may cost OGSMC this game, because look, that +1 attack is even with the Zerg player. Soon he's going to be going against Infestors, and by the time he has Blink, there's going to be fun fungal growths on the field. Is this going to finish right before the Infestors? Yes, now the Infestors are going to spawn with enough energy for fungal growth right out the gate, and MC is going to be running up here, but guess what? He is now going against IdrA Infestors. IdrA Festers with fungal growth, preventing these stalkers from being able to blink away. Neuroparasite on the way, that may be a little bit of a waste. However, he could use it on the Immortals just to blast away the stalkers of MC. So right now, I definitely say the favor is in IdrA's hands. 163 supply to 118. And here comes the push from MC. No, he's going to back out. And either player just keeping their entire army grouped up. And you can see the entire army for OGSMC is on one hotkey. He cannot afford to separate his army, while IdrA, though, has Zerglings, Roaches, and Infestors all kind of spread out just to make sure that he does not send the Infestors in blindly. As long as he keeps a good eye on them, he can let them sit back, get a lot of energy, and use that fungal growth, which does additional damage versus armored units now. So that's something to keep in mind. I'm not sure if MC is going to be in the best position here, trying to prevent these overlords from spreading the creep, because he knows that IdrA is so crazy with that creep that he will set up a creep highway and attack you immediately and just kind of crush you. And OGSMC does not have any Colossus. He's literally just sticking with what he thinks is going to be the best thing to kill what IdrA has, which is just Mass Stalker. And Stalkers do additional damage versus Roaches, but when there's this many Roaches and the Zerg player has this many expansions, he can just re-macro them up quite easily. Here come the Infestors right now. Is he going to be fungal growthing? Yes, he is. One stalker, or one group of stalkers blinking up here to try and take them out. Looks like the Infestors will be destroyed immediately. And you can see MC trying to focus those down. Nice force fields preventing these Roaches from getting away, as well as for preventing the Roaches from engaging this directly. And MC wants to hang on to this expansion as long as he possibly can. However, how many Immortals does MC have? He only has 3 Immortals, and the Immortals completely out of position. They're going to be sitting here shooting the Stalkers, as I was saying before. One Infestor will go down. However, this Immortal is just blasting away the Protoss player, doing so much damage with that +1 attack. Now, can MC hold here? The Roaches unbrewing under the Sentry's force fields there, and it looks like MC has nowhere to run. There's that fungal growth, and he just runs his Roaches directly into it and will completely decimate that army. It looks like MC may lose this battle and potentially lose the game. Yes, he does. He is going to GG out of this game. So, wow, IdrA able to dethrone MC once again. Now, given this isn't the GSL Finals or anything like that, but regardless, MC, I would say, a favorite in this battle, but IdrA showing us just how powerful of a Zerg player he is. Just utilizing those Roaches the entire game, running them directly into the Stalkers, not being afraid to get them up close and personal, which is super important if you're going this many Roaches versus Protoss, which is something that you'll see on ladder a lot these days. You just run them at the army, and if the Protoss can't escape, especially with that fungal growth, the Roaches do a surprising amount of damage, and once they have that +1 upgrade, man, whew, definitely difficult to stop. If you look at the damage, it is going to be 18 damage, and that's to all units, while Stalkers only do 15 damage versus Armored with that +1 attack upgrade. So Roaches do more damage, and if you look at also the attack speed, 1.44 for Stalkers and 2 for Roaches. So Roaches do a lot more damage up front in that each attack they do is 18 damage, but it is a little bit slower. That's why getting them close is really important, so all the units shoot at once and do as much damage as possible, and it absolutely worked in this game versus MC, who is trying to just win with gateway units. Never really teched up to much more except for a couple Immortals, but it was just a little too late. Too little too late. That is the phrase. Super easy for me to say. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about the intro in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you guys next time.